Fala galera, Bruno Massao aqui para a Nova Store e hoje nós estamos diretamente dos estúdios da Warner Bros. Aqui em Los Angeles para a Cine Gear 2024. Nós vamos trazer aí novidades de todos os fabricantes aí do audiovisual para vocês, então vocês podem esperar muita coisa de câmera, de lente, de luz. Vamos nessa comigo. Então galera, a gente acabou de sair do stand da Cooke e eu tenho duas novidades muito importantes para você. A primeira, muitos de vocês perguntaram sobre o bocal SPM, que é para Alexa Mini, né? Para Alexa Mini, Alexa 35, Mini LF e também para mira, para poder usar as cookies SP3 nessas câmeras. Pois bem, a preocupação de muitos era que se a lente, né, acabava entrando muito dentro do corpo da câmera e acabava atrapalhando a operação. E vendo aqui pessoalmente, eu não acho que vai ser uma questão para a maioria dos projetos que vai ter o orçamento para rodar de SP3. Então, o bocal SPM da PS Technique com as cookies SP3 com bocal Leica M é uma opção muito viável e a gente vai trazer mais novidades sobre isso no futuro. Agora, a novidade que muita gente estava esperando era uma angular, né, uma lente mais aberta do que a 25mm. E a Cooke confirmou que uma 18mm está no radar para chegar ainda esse ano. Então, ainda em 2024, a gente vai ter uma 18mm para o jogo de SP3. Então é isso, fiquem ligados para mais novidades sobre aqui a Cine Gear 2024. Nesse instante nós estamos no stand da Canon USA com o Ryan Snyder e vamos falar um pouco sobre os novos lançamentos, né? A C400 e a nova RF 35mm. So Ryan, can you tell about us about the new camera? What's the idea behind it? What was the overall goal that Canon wanted to achieve?
Sure. So the C400 is obviously a camera that's built with cinematography and production in mind, but it also has a lot of features that make it very versatile for multi-camera and live production as well. At the very front and the heart of the camera, it's a RF mount. So you have all of the compatibility with our expanding RF lens line, as well as it makes it very versatile. You can adapt it for EF as well as PL. And we actually have our own PL to RF adapter being introduced as well with the camera. So lots of lens selection on there.
And one great thing about the new adapter as well is that it has Cooke integration. So this has been a request for a long time. I know it since the beginning of the RF mount. People have been asking about the integration. But you also introduced a new lens, which is the new 35mm, which was about a long time coming. So what's the idea of the new lens?
The new lens, the 35 1.4L VCM, which stands for Voice Coil Motor. So yeah, it's been highly anticipated, a 35mm and a 1.4. It is really optically wonderful for video as well as stills. And in fact, with its manual iris ring and really improved reduction of focus breathing, it's the first in an upcoming series of fast fixed focal lenses that are designed for hybrid use for both video and photo. So yeah, it's really exciting to have that coming out. Yeah.
So pretty much we can expect a new whole lineup of lenses, hybrid lenses, which is kind of the future. So people have always been asking Canon to do some sort of stuff like this, like a batch of lenses. So for the R5C, the C70, and just returning to the C400, I just noticed, just blew over. You guys attend a lot of requests by introducing the SDI ports on the camera because on the C7 we don't have any ports.
Yeah.
So we can assure people that we do have a camera that is optimized for all types of productions.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you've got the 3G SDI, you've got the 12G SDI, which you can get 4K 60p over a single cable. You've got a 4K full-size HDMI on this camera, and all of those can be output simultaneously. So yeah, whether you're doing recorded content or live, you have a lot of flexibility in where you route that signal to, whether it's external recorders, switchers, transmitters, external monitors. You've got it all there. Yeah. Plus, you've got input and outputs now for not only timecode, but genlock, and also return video. So great for live production as well. Yeah. As far as recording, though, I mean, it's a 6K full-frame sensor. It'll do Cinema Raw Lite internal recording to a CF Express card. You've also got XF AVC, and you could do full-frame up to 4K 120 in that. And we also have two new lighter weight codecs. It's the XF HEVC-S and XF AVC-S, and those are basically MP4 files, but they will retain the same file name, the same folder structure, and the same metadata, so they're very, very useful for proxies and sub-recording.
So, pretty much a hell of a camera. Se você está interessado em uma câmera dessa, entre em contato com a gente na Inova Store. Nós já estamos com a pré-venda aberta e vamos nos falando. A gente vai trazer mais novidades da Cine Gear. So, Ryan, thanks once again.
Bruno.
Fala galera, mais uma vez aqui com a Inova Store, dessa vez aqui no stand da Panasonic para falar sobre a nova GH7. E comigo está o Neil Matsumoto da Panasonic USA. So Neil, what can you tell us about the new launch, the G87?
So the GH7 is our brand new, it's our flagship micro four thirds camera. We make two kinds of cameras. We make micro four thirds cameras and we make full frame cameras. So micro four thirds, the system is the micro four thirds lens mount, and with our full frame cameras, it's basically the L mount. So this camera, what we've kind of announced 2 days ago, the biggest news at this show is that we have a licensing deal with ARRI to employ ARRI Log C3 profile into the camera. So here at Cine Gear, because most of the people at this show are basically high-end cinematographers or filmmakers in Hollywood. We wanted to showcase this camera as a B camera or a crash camera to sort of the industry standard camera of the film industry, which is the ARRI Alexa. And so we did a project that we're premiering tomorrow at the show called the Cookie Jar, and it was shot with the ARRI Alexa Mini LF as the A camera with the GH7 as the B cam and the crash cam. So today we're also showcasing with a professional digital imaging technician on how you can kind of match the GH7 with the Alexa. So that's kind of the big news at the show in terms of for this show. But the other big news about this camera, are you familiar with like our GH series cameras? So we kind of built our business on like the GH3, GH4, GH5. Now we're up to the GH7. So basically the differences between this camera and the GH6, or the main big differences, the GH6 had our old autofocus system. It was based on a contrast detect DFD system. This has been updated to our new phase or hybrid phase detect AF system. So that's been a big improvement for a lot of sort of content creators, especially who are filming themselves, whether it's for YouTube or just for documentaries or gimbal work, they need a good AF system. So that's been the big improvement. The other big sort of, for me, it's probably the biggest update with this camera. It's our first camera that you can actually record ProRes RAW internally. So usually you would have to use like an Atomos recorder, monitor, or like a Blackmagic video assist to be able to output via HDMI raw video. So this is the first one that does it. You could still use the USB-C port to send, I mean the HDMI port to send raw video to those devices, but this just makes it so much easier, much more compact. You don't have to be wired out of the camera, and the camera will shoot 5.7K ProRes 422 RAW HQ. It's 4.2 gigabits per second, so those files are really huge. That's pretty much the new developments with the GH7.
So there's a lot of new news about the GH7, but some people were expecting like a new iteration of the S1H, which is a camera that I personally own. I love the camera, but what can we expect in the future? I don't know if you can tell us just a little bit about something, but
unfortunately, I can't tell you any sort of like product roadmaps that we have. But the S1H is still considered our flagship camera. It was the first camera that was had Netflix approval for being an A camera on any of their productions. So that's going to be a lot of the cameras that a lot of professional filmmakers are kind of waiting for the update. So, but I think with Lumix, we went with the S5IIX. We wanted more, in terms of filmmakers, we wanted more people in the ecosystem in terms of buying and using the L-mount lenses that we have. So
that's awesome. So, Neil, pretty much thank you for your time. Fiquem ligados que nós vamos trazer mais novidades aqui do show da Cine Gear. Fala pessoal, Bruno Massao aqui para mais um vídeo da Innova Store, dessa vez no stand da ARRI, onde nós vamos falar sobre o novo sistema de produção ao vivo deles, que é a Alexa 35 Live. Aqui comigo tem o François. Então, hey François, thanks to meet us here on the booth. What can you tell us about the Alexa 35 Live?
Hello Bruno, thank you for the opportunity. So what we have here is the Alexa 35 with the live production system. So it's important to understand that it's not a new camera system, it is a new system that adds capability to the existing Alexa 35. So many people are using the Alexa 35, probably the most popular camera that we have right now in our lineup because of its dynamic range, textures, color accuracy, and all of that. But what's interesting is that when we look at a cinematography background, there's lots of process improvement that can be brought if we're going to live. The OB van, the outside broadcast, for example, has been using for many years cameras where they power it remotely from a fiber. They don't need to change media because they don't record on the camera. They're able to talk to the operator through an intercom. They're able to look at return video to see what the other operators are shooting to make sure you don't record the same sequence. So all of these are process improvement and workflow efficiency that were not traditionally possible with a cinematic camera. So by creating the Alexa 35 Live or the live production system, we're basically we're maintaining the quality of cinematic with the ARRI look, but we're giving you the process efficiency of an OB van or a live production system.
That's cool. I think ARRI started flirting with this scenario first with the AMIRA Live, but AMIRA Live was actually a whole camera, right?
The AMIRA Live was also a similar setup. So it started with a partnership with a company called DTS, and eventually we acquired the assets of DTS, and it became an ARRI branded product. So there was a long transition of it's an outside partner to it's an internal product, and then we took the feedback over the last 8 years of this product being used in the market by some key customer, and we created a completely new line of camera adapter that is the LPS1 and the base station. So this is 100% based on 8 years of feedback as to what could be added to the system to make it even more powerful. So it would not just be a camera system, but it would be an ecosystem of communication that includes audio, video, metadata, communication, and everything you could think of from today to the future.
That's so awesome. Again, François, thank you for your time. Thank you for explaining the whole system. Se você está interessado em adicionar aí um projeto que envolva Alexa 35 Live, fala com a gente. Nós temos nossos contatos aí de informação na descrição desse vídeo. Fala pessoal, Bruno Massao aqui para mais um vídeo para a Inova Store. E agora eu estou com uma carinha familiar, que é o Thiago da Aputure, no stand da Aputure aqui na Cine Gear 2024, para apresentar para vocês a mais nova novidade da linha dos Lightstorm, o 600Z Pro 2. Thiago, conta pra gente o que tem de novidade, quais são as melhorias em relação ao 600C Pro.
É isso aí, na verdade essa luz ela é 85% mais brilhante, né, quando comparado com a versão normal. Ela também agora tem um rate de IP oficial, né? Agora ela é 54 de IP, então você não vai ter problema de água com esse equipamento. A original já não tinha, mas agora você tem essa garantia em forma de certificado, né? Bom, quando a gente está falando de 85% mais brilhante, depende do modificador. Se você tem um modificador como, por exemplo, o Bow, né? Você tem muito mais potência do que você teria com uma 600 normal. A grande vantagem disso é que eu tenho praticamente 600 watts de potência no RGB também. E no Daylight eu tenho muito mais punch com essa luz. Então, é uma luz que tem um diferencial sim quando comparado com a primeira iteração. E questão de qualidade é praticamente a mesma coisa, né?
Então a gente pode dizer que é uma melhoria aí que veio para substituir o 600C original, né, o 600C Pro, mas atender uma fatia nova de filmmakers que tem umas demandas um pouco mais exigentes, por assim dizer. Bacana. E ele continua sendo compatível com todos os acessórios da linha Lightstorm, como sempre.
Igualzinho. Isso, ele continua sendo compatível com todos os outros acessórios, né? E assim como você falou, vão ter duas versões, tá? A gente ainda não vai parar o anterior, porque vai melhorar em preço. Então vai ser um pouquinho mais acessível quem precisar de uma luz potente, mas ainda não tem o budget suficiente para chegar nessa luz, vai continuar. E essa daqui, claro, vai manter o mesmo preço atual da 600, e entrando com mais punch, né? Então é uma boa novidade pro mercado, né?
E agora a gente vai falar dos novos kits da Infinibar. Thiago, por favor.
A grande vantagem desses kits, né, que agora o case é bem menor, né? São um kit com 4 luzes, tem tanto da versão de 120 centímetros quanto da versão de 60 centímetros. E junto com esses kits, você também vai conseguir ter outros acessórios, como por exemplo, esses pezinhos, onde você pode deixar a luz em uma posição angulada, né? Ou mesmo utilizar alguns parafusos para estar colocando o equipamento na parede, facilitando assim o uso, né? Também existe o novo brick, e a grande vantagem desse brick é que você consegue energizar várias luzes simultaneamente conforme com um cabo apenas, né? Então, diferente do brick antigo que podia fazer no máximo 4 luzes menores, esse novo brick pode fazer várias luzes maiores, né? Então é um grande diferencial nesse kit. É um kit bem legal, que acho que a galera vai curtir, principalmente pela portabilidade, né? E além de tudo que a Infinibar já pode fazer, né? Que todo mundo já sabe, que é a questão dos pixels, né? Então você consegue rodar vídeo, fazer aplicações de realidade virtual, porque tem uma densidade muito ampla de pixels. E isso, já na configuração Lumen Radio, você não precisa de nada extra para fazer isso rodar junto com o DMX. Diretamente da caixa você pode fazer isso acontecer.
Então a gente pode dizer que são kits interessantes tanto para quem já tem as Infinibars, assim como é um kit também interessante para quem quer adentrar esse meio, né, da Infinibar, porque é um produto que, de certa forma, pelo tamanho dele, né, acabou não sendo tão popular no Brasil, a gente sabe disso, mas agora com essa ideia de kits reduzidos, né, a gente pode ter aí uma adesão maior no mercado nacional.
Exato, e eu acredito que também a questão do pessoal ainda não ter executado ela junto com o vídeo pode ter criado um certo bloqueio, mas em breve a gente vai estar fazendo alguns vídeos demonstrando como que você pode operar vídeos e rodar vídeos nesse carinha. Dá para jogar até Mario Kart, dá para fazer vários joguinhos nesse cara, que é uma coisa bem legal. Tipo, claro, a intenção não é jogar Mario Kart, mas você consegue criar cenas como as nuvens passando, luzes passando, coisas bem intensas mesmo. De forma super simples, é só colocar um vídeo que você vai conseguir fazer isso rodar, né?
Então é isso, pra galera especialmente do esportes que faz, né, campeonatos aí, Valorant, Free Fire, a gente sabe que são extremamente populares no Brasil. As Infinity Bars podem ser itens bem interessantes aí pra você incluir no cenário e você ter um mapeamento em tempo real do jogo, por exemplo. Então aí mais uma novidade, agora em novos kits, né, em novas versões, o kit das Infinity Bar. E a gente fica por aqui nessa cobertura do primeiro dia da Cine Gear 2024.
É isso aí, valeu galera!
Fala galera, Bruno Massao aqui para mais um vídeo aqui na Cine Gear 2024, dessa vez no stand da Laowa. Estou aqui com o Stephen. Hey Stephen, thanks for having us here. So, Laowa launched a lot of lenses over the past few months, and we are really excited to showcase some of them. What can you tell us? Firstly, let's start with the nanomorph zooms. I think they are the most anticipated lens in the market right now.
Yeah, the nanomorph zooms end up sort of being a hybrid between the nanomorph anamorphics and our Ranger full-frame zooms, where it's a Super 35 coverage because you get that anamorphic stack to squeeze everything in a parfocal zoom, and the look is designed to match the nanomorph primes. So you can integrate between working with zoom, working with the little tiny primes. Yeah, it really expands on the nanomorph functionality quite a bit to have a zoom in that system.
And it's also awesome for gimbal work because sometimes you cannot just keep changing lenses. You have to zoom in and out.
The amount of time that you save of being able to say, all right, I've got a 28, right? It's an adjustable prime of 28, 2.9, 35, 2.9, 55, 2.9. I can set anywhere in between there and not have to swap out, rebalance the gimbal, of course. So yes, they definitely are very nice. And around 3 pounds, so fairly lightweight and compact to be able to run. So, yeah.
That's really cool. But regarding, you mentioned the Ranger as well. I do have a set of Ranger full frame. And we have their new sisters, the Ranger Super 35 lenses, which are really small. I just saw it earlier. What can you tell us about it?
So, Ranger Super 35, again, nice, clean, parfocal zoom, covering a full Super 35 sensor. You've got 11 to 18, 17 to 50, and then the 50 to 130 focal lengths, all T29 through the set. And then also the look is designed to integrate with the full-frame Rangers. So whether you're operating multiple cameras, some full-frame, some Super 35, or you want to put the full-frame lens on a Super 35 to even extend that range out to a 180, you can do that as well. Speaking of the full-frame Rangers, we also have our third in that set, which is the 16 to 30, giving us a nice ultra-wide in that full-frame set. So, and size-wise, the 16 to 30 ends up being much smaller, closer to the Super 35s.
Yeah, that's awesome. We also kind of have something that was teased, but it was not officially launched until the trade show, which is the new Argus Cine lenses.
Yeah, the official announcements coming should be next week, but we have these guys here today. We had the Argus photo set, and now we have a Cine-housed versions of them with some other tweaks. In the full frame set, we've got a 28, 35, and 45 T1. In the Super 35s, you've got an 18, 25, and 33. And then even in a Micro Four Thirds, we've got an 18 and a 25. All T1 through those sets. The biggest difference is the 28 millimeter in the photo version is an f1.2. So it's actually a fully new optical design in the Cine version to get it out to a T1.
That's so cool. And they are also all mirrors, like short flange distance mounts, right?
Yes, the way to get to a T1 that looks as good as these do is you need to have a very, very shallow flange distance. You need to get the rear element of that lens as close to your sensor as possible. So trying to work with anything that's going to have a mirror box or a shutter in between, it's just not going to work to get the same quality. You need to be able to mount E mount, Z mount, RF mount, L mount.
That's cool. Hey, just to end the interview, let's talk about the 10mm, which is, I think it's the widest lens available right now for both E mount and Z mount with autofocus, right?
Autofocus, E mount, Z mount, full frame. Yeah, I would say it's the widest autofocus out there. It's beautiful. And even a little disorienting because when we think of looking at things in that wide an angle of view, we think of a distortion, we think of fisheye. But this lens really holds all your lines straight and stretches everything out to fit. And it's got a really interesting, it draws you in with that look. So yeah, that's the 10mm 0D. As we said, autofocus, E mount and Z mount, but is also available manual for RF and L.
That's awesome. So, Steven, once again, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
E fiquem ligados aí para mais novidades aqui diretamente da Cine Gear 2024. Fala pessoal, Bruno Massao aqui mais uma vez diretamente da Cine Gear, dessa vez aqui no stand da Viltrox para falar sobre os novos diopters. Comigo aqui está o Jim. Hey Jim, so what can you tell us about the new diopter system?
Yeah, Bruno, we have a system of 4 diopters, 0.5 all the way to 3, and they come as a set. And it's a new introduction. They're 95mm centric, and then you can also use a shim to attach it to other filter needs, right, diopters. The set of 4 runs $2,600, $2,600.
Wow, so it's a great price for a product that many people have a need in order to close the distance or focusing distance of any lens. And I know that you guys chose this diameter because of your own lenses, like the Epic lenses, which is anamorphic. What can you tell us about the Epic lenses as well?
Yeah, so the reason for the filter size, not only ours, but we want to keep it as standard as possible because, matte box is getting in the way or something like that. If we make it any bigger, it runs into a situation where you can't attach the matte box or vice versa. If you make it too small, you got the matte box in the way. So we wanted to clear that stuff. And also, a lot of our anamorphic lenses, we have it from 25mm now all the way to 100mm focal length. And we're slowly but growing that family of epic lenses, of anamorphic epic lenses. And we're also branching out into 30 to 300mm full frame zoom autofocus lens for cinema, which is a very new foray for us. It's it's a huge lens, but it's a very attractive focal point from 30mm to 300mm. And it's a T4, has a great resolution, kind of like all of our lenses from anamorphic as well. We try to keep the color to be neutral as possible. Also the flaring too. We don't overdo it like other companies, having exaggerated barrel distortion or having introducing more flares than you need to. We wanted to keep it neutral as possible, have that clean, flat look, so that during post-production, you can add or do whatever treatment you want to do later. I'm sure some of the people would like to see anamorphic lenses with barrel distortion and wackier flaring, but we thought we want to please everybody, not just specific certain type of people.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jim. A gente vai continuar com a cobertura aqui da Cine Gear 2024. Fala galera, aqui Bruno Massao mais uma vez do stand da NiSi aqui na Cine Gear 2024, dessa vez com o Jim, e a gente vai falar sobre as novas lentes do jogo de Athena Prime. Jim, so thank you for having us here. What can you tell us about the new focal lengths of the Athena Prime set?
I can tell you that we brought out 3 new lenses. Our original set of 5 were 14 millimeter, 25 millimeter, 35 millimeter, 50 millimeter, and 85 millimeter. So we've added to that an 18 millimeter, a 40 millimeter, and a telephoto 135 millimeter. These focal lengths were chosen because of feedback that we got from our community of photographers and filmmakers that are using our lenses. That's a very important part of working with NiSi is NiSi does listen to their customer base, and new products are developed based on the feedback that we get from the field. So initially a 14 millimeter came out. It was an ultra wide angle, probably a little too extreme for some people, but they still needed a good wide angle. So the 18 millimeter was brought to market. And what's nice about the 18 millimeter is that it's very wide, but it no longer needs the pedal front that the 14 has, so it has the standard 77 millimeter front on it. The 40 millimeter would be considered an interview lens, a very good lens for talking heads, for on-camera presentations, for lectures and such like that. Has a very comfortable working distance, fits in beautifully between the 35 and the 50. And then the 135, we were actually going to bring out a lens not quite as long as this, but there was so much feedback from the community that they wanted a 135 lens that we brought a 135 millimeter lens out. Now, something that's kind of interesting about this lens is right now we have 8 lenses. Of the 8 lenses, 7 of them have kept the promise of having the same weight and control attributes as each other, so these 7 lenses can be interchanged on, say, a gimbal or a Steadicam or rig and not have to be rebalanced. Optical physics made it impossible for the 135 to be that way, so it's a little bit longer and slightly heavier, but only a fraction, but it still retains all the optical attributes of all the other lenses. Very low chromatic aberration, no visible focus breathing, extremely sharp, clean results in a budget-friendly lens, and that's really what the story is with them. They are coming in the PL mount, as well as fixed mounts for Sony E, Canon RF, Leica L, Blackmagic Panasonic, and also we have GFX for the Fujifilm GFX 102. And that's because all of our NiSi lenses not only cover full frame, but they're actually a 46 millimeter rear circle of illumination, so they can be used on oversized sensors such as the Fujifilm GFX2.
One important thing that you didn't mention about the 135, although it's a little bit longer and heavier, it maintains the gears on the same size.
You're absolutely right, and I apologize for not mentioning that. Yes, you can drop the lens in place of any of the other 7 lenses, and all the gearing and all the mechanical attributes of it are exactly the same. They're all the same across the entire range.
That's so awesome. Jim, thank you for your time. E a gente vai continuar com cobertura aqui. A gente tem mais alguns fabricantes para visitar. Fiquem ligados. Fala pessoal, Bruno Massao aqui para o segundo dia da cobertura da Cine Gear 2024. E aqui eu estou com o Brandon da Kondor Blue e a gente vai falar um pouco das novidades que a Kondor Blue está trazendo para a feira e também um pouquinho sobre a gaiola, que é muito interessante, que eles lançaram para S52X e agora também compatível com a GH7. Hey Brandon, so first of all, what news do you guys bring to the show?
Yeah, absolutely. So right over here, we've got the Blackmagic Pixis cage. So we're previewing that. Still working through a few things. It's pretty exciting. We actually got the CAD directly from Blackmagic. Normally they don't do that, but they decided with their new cameras that they were going to allow manufacturers to kind of share in that. And so it's been fun to be part of that new process. We also have a DJI LiDAR cage. As people have gotten that new system, it's amazing and incredible, but very hard to mount properly. And so it's one where we wanted to make as compact of a solution as possible, but that's as versatile as possible as well. So previewing that as well. And of course, we've got our matte box. It's still, we finalized some kinks from NAB, and that will be coming out shortly as well. So a lot of fun and exciting things.
That's so awesome. And you guys, we are just now starting to sell Lumix products in Brazil. We were really excited this week with the launch of the G87. We saw that you guys have a G87 here. And also, I personally switched systems to the Lumix system. And I was looking for the S5IIX, and you guys launched the top handle with the NVMe 2 connection.
It works for the GH7 as well and GH6. But yeah, very great system. We actually just did a shoot this week with two GH7s and an ARRI LF, and they matched up really well. So it's cool to have like just totally different systems be so complementary to each other. So very good, solid camera.
Yeah, that's so cool. And regarding about the show, what guys thinking? What's the reception for all the new products?
Oh, it's been really good. We're really excited about, honestly, the whole spectrum of the industry, because we've got a lot of unique things coming out and already out for the iPhone and other mobile phones, all the way up to a lot more pro cameras. And so it's fun to bridge those extremes and see them even work together again, like we just did with the GH7 and ARRI LF. So it's just a fun time to be in the industry and creating new things. There's a lot of innovation going on.
That's so cool. Thanks for your time, Brandon. É isso, a gente vai continuar aqui no segundo dia da cobertura da Cine Gear. Nos acompanhe aí para mais novidades. Fala pessoal, Bruno Massao aqui da Inova Store para mais um vídeo aqui na Cine Gear 2024. Dessa vez nós estamos no stand da Blazar para falar com a Sarah sobre as novas Remos. Sarah, how are you doing? Thanks for having us. What can you tell us about the Remos?
So the Remus, we just came out with this year in January, and it's been shipping since February, and this has caused kind of a crazy anamorphic wave of new shooters who've never shot on anamorphic before. So our Remus set is a 45, 65, and 100. They are anamorphic. They are a 1.5 D squeeze. We offer 3 different types of flares. They're blue, amber in my hand, as you can see with the T right here, and we also have a new neutral flare. So they come in a lot of options. We have PL mount, we have EF mount, and yeah, they're just such a versatile small little lens because they weigh like nothing. I mean, we've been showing these on the Ronin 4D, so everyone is excited that they can finally, own their own set of anamorphic lenses.
That's so cool. And they are also full frame lenses, right?
They are full frame, yes.
Awesome. Regarding the mount, you said that it's available in PL and EF. Are they interchangeable? How does that work?
So we do have an interchangeable mount. So you purchase them in PL, but for our EF shooters, all you do is you just unscrew the dust cover right here. And then, after you unscrew it, I'll do it right now. You reveal the 5 screws underneath, and then you just pop this off, put it on the EF mount, and then you just screw the cover back on. It's very simple to do.
That's so cool. So main targets are independent filmmakers, people who are starting to shoot anamorphic, but yeah, it is also a really great lens for gimbal work.
Absolutely, absolutely. So apart from our entry-level anamorphic shooters, we are also targeting bigger productions who need something small. If they are shooting on bigger anamorphics, if they want to use like the Ronin 4D or drones or gimbals, they can just use our set for those shots, and that's been really cool.
That's awesome. Sarah, thanks for having us. And Fica aqui a nossa cobertura da Cine Gear 2024. Nos vemos numa próxima, pessoal. Até a próxima.